Hi everybody, it's me, Sierra the Pool Toy. I wanted to talk to you because it's October and it's spooky month, and so there's a lot of spooky things going on. A lot of ghouls and ghosts and scary video games that you stream. But that's why I wanted to talk to you, is because, this is sort of the season where everybody starts to focus a little bit more on fear. And fear is a pretty natural emotion that we can feel. It's more of a sense than anything. And we have all of these fears, and it could just be the season with all these ghosts and things running around in the month of October. But it could be very mundane things that happen. So, for example, approaching somebody who you think is cute. It could be public speaking, which apparently ranks higher on the fear meter than death. People would rather die than public speak. And that's kind of silly. So what I was hoping that we could do is talk about what it is to feel fear. Why do we feel fear? What's something that we can do about it? How do we not feel fear? And how that's not actually a thing. And instead, build up things like courage so that we can actually have this sense of fear, but be able to push through it. So let's go. So, what is fear? Glad you asked. Fear is a perfectly natural feeling we get when we're in danger. So if there is an unattractive werewolf over there that's chasing me down, I will feel like running away and getting away from the situation. If I didn't have a sense of fear, well, maybe I see a poisonous snake on the floor and I want to just pick it up. So, in a sense, fear has a very practical reason of keeping us alive. However, at the same time, it can really hold us back when we're sort of being pretty irrational with our fear. So, what kind of fears are there? Well, we have fear of failure. So, there's a thing I really want to do, but what if it doesn't work out? Oh, she's really cute. I want to go over there and say hi to her. Oh, what if she doesn't like me? Fear of the unknown. Oh, I would love to leave this job I hate. But what if I get a job that's worse? And then there's the physical danger, like the ugly werewolf example I gave earlier. And so, fear can really hold us back at some points where we can just... It limits us from making decisions. It limits us from new opportunities that might spring ahead of us, new experiences that we might actually benefit from, or it just causes us a lot of self-doubt that paralyzes us in our lives. I'm just getting so close, dude. But what do we do when we feel fear? Now, here's the thing people can sometimes screw up about courage. And courage is not fearlessness. You're going to feel fear. Fear is perfectly natural, perfectly normal. Courage is acting in spite of the fear. Whether it's saying hello to that cutie or trying a new thing, that's going to take some courage. And I'm not talking about courage only applies when you're facing down a dragon and all you have is a stick and a small rock. No, everyday courage is small stuff, like speaking up for yourself or just trying something new. Not even like a big new thing, just maybe like a new thing off the menu from the place that you normally go to. And so, it can be small stuff. And the cool thing about it, too, is that courage, in general, is like a muscle. Where the more that you work on it, the more courageous you become. Public speaking is a horrible fear for a lot of people. But if you actually start public speaking on a pretty regular basis, maybe at work, maybe in a classroom, and you actually put yourself out there and start talking more, you will find that you can become a pretty good public speaker pretty quick. Maybe you should record a YouTube video about it and talk about it. and then actually put it up for people to see and judge you on and ruin your life. No, but we're going to do it anyway. So, it is a muscle. It's a skill that you work on. A lot of people hate public speaking, but for example, maybe you have an opportunity at work to, put yourself out there, show a little bit of leadership skill, and be able to put together a presentation of some kind. And if you say no, that's really can hurt your prospects for the future as far as if you want a promotion or to advance in some way. If you don't care about the job, whatever. But in general, take the chance, take the opportunity, see where it gets you. So how do you become more courageous? Well, I'm glad you asked. The way you become more courageous is you start to identify in the moment when you feel fear. So, for example, somebody asks you a question and you're afraid to say yes. You're afraid to say no. Or maybe you're afraid of disappointing the person who's asking you the question. And what does that mean? Well, it means that something's at stake. It could be your own personal comfort. It could be your relationship. It could be nothing, but you just feel like it's something. And so when you're able to identify when you're feeling fear and you're able to analyze the situation, you can use that to sort of help you frame everything so you can come up with a decision. Like, is this an opportunity for growth? Is this an opportunity to start or develop a better relationship with somebody? Maybe you're going to make a new friend. And so, by overcoming these things, you can overcome things like your own insecurities. I don't think anybody's going to like me. But if in the moment you feel the fear, but you do it anyway, and really open yourself up to these people or one person, however many it is, it might work out and become super awesome. So acknowledging the fear is definitely part of it. And you definitely don't want to let opportunities slide by as you take them. So, and it's a risk. Of course it's going to be a risk. There's always a risk. If you're going to become uncomfortable, if only for a little bit of time. But the opportunities are there. And sometimes you got to be vulnerable. You got to put yourself out there. Because if you do, nobody's going to see who you are. And so that's why it's so important to give in to some of these opportunities. And when you do these things, you're going to have a new perspective on stuff. You're going to be trying new things. You're going to be less fearful in your everyday life. You're going to have more confidence in yourself. And you're just going to feel way better all the time. So, what are the things that we can do? Well, let's overcome our fear of failure. Everything's a learning opportunity. Even if it doesn't work out, you learned about how something did or didn't work out. Maybe you just weren't built for it, but, maybe there were a lot of cool things that you learned along the way. Maybe you're afraid of putting yourself out there because you'll be judged. Okay, look at me. Anyway. No, but people will judge you either way. There's people out there who are really insecure. You know who they are. By the way, you're judging them as an insecure person, even though they are probably doing everything in their power to not appear that way. And, sometimes we end up putting off these opportunities too. Our fears keep us in place while we constantly think about the thing, but we don't actually do it. So we're just using up brain power, likely feeling poorly about ourselves, while we just wait to do the thing that we know we should do because we're scared in the moment of doing it. It's one of those situations where we become sick and tired of being sick and tired. What I would like you to understand from this video is that fear is a perfectly natural, normal feeling you can have. More than that, I really need you to understand that you are more than capable of being brave. You have every day opportunities all around you to be brave. Whether it's in relationships with other people or just general opportunities in your life, you can face these fears and explore a whole new aspect of your life and give yourself an opportunity to grow and stop living in so much fear and learn to be courageous and grow. I hope that this video has been helpful for you. And I hope that this October, as we're playing more spooky games, getting exposed to more monsters and scary things than we do any other time of the year, except for maybe visiting family at Thanksgiving, I hope that you are able to conquer these fears and live a more courageous life. Have a good night.